there we are. Another thing about Red Dead that we just found out this week, it's gigantic. And not just like it's big, there's a lot of stuff to do, but it's going to take you a long time to download it unless you have blazing fast internet. Max, how big is this video game in gigabytes?
I don't want to alarm anyone, but it might in fact be 105
Whoa,
gigabytes.
That's a lot of gigabytes.
Yeah. So we did the math on this. It's not really math. It's actually putting two numbers next to each other and determining which is bigger. And we determined that this is in fact possibly, I think, the biggest console game out of the box, period, in history. Video games have gotten considerably bigger and bigger as time has gone on. Also, this is at launch. I don't know if this accounts for Red Dead Online or any kind of patches or DLC or anything they're going to add in there. I don't know if it will get smaller if they figure out how to compress things better. But this currently is a 105 gigabyte game on the box. That's what it says. We dug around. Competition out there, possibly. That's actually much more accurate to how big it could be. It's too big to even fit in the screen. Another game, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is famous for having an incredibly huge install size. If you look at the back of the box, it says it's 130 gigabytes, which is really, you're like, wow, what did that really? It is Infinite Warfare. There's so much of it there. But that's actually accounting for the fact that it came with Modern Warfare Remastered. So that's technically two games.
Yeah, so
if you look at Call of Duty Infinite Warfare by itself, I think it's like 98 gigs or something, which is still huge, but
yeah, and again, keep in mind we are talking about specifically console games. Now, obviously, these games come with DLC and day one patches and all this other stuff, so that can ramp it up eventually down the line. If you were to buy the complete edition of a game later with all the DLC added, you could be getting in the 140, 150, 160 gig.
Right.
But for the day one standalone, here's the game. I think Red Dead is taking it right now. So what else do we have?
is winning. One game that's hilarious to track the install size of is Gears of War 4, which I don't actually know how big it is because I think at launch it was something around 98, and that was counting one patch for multiplayer stuff, and then there's also they've gone in and they've tried to whittle it down, but then it will balloon up again, and then there's been DLC and maps and updates, and so you will find, if you search Gears of War 4 install size, you will find a lot of different data based on, I didn't go on the Xbox Marketplace and figure out how much it is right now, or how not even how much it is. This is how big it is. But that's that's a big question mark. Another one.
Real quick, video games file sizes have always been weird. There's a funny anecdote I always like to share about this stuff, that a JPEG of Super Mario Brothers for NES is a bigger file size than Super Mario Brothers for NES.
That's bananas.
Isn't that insane? So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the biggest file size I could find across all platforms, apparently Final Fantasy 15 for Windows with the HD texture pack to run in Super HD 4K, Ultra K, whatever, is 155 gigabytes.
Yeah, so that's an 85 gigabyte game with a 63 gigabyte optional high-res pack that you could download on day one if you wanted to. I believe it was there on day one, but that is just gigantic.
Yeah.
And so
there on the cover, that's Noctis, but that's what he looks like after waiting for that to download.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so the interesting thing about this that I find pretty fascinating is if you have a PS4 Pro, maybe you've got a terabyte, maybe at this point, you've got an Xbox One X that has some extra storage, or you got, you supplemented that with external storage. But if you have a base PS4 that came with 500 gigs, you're burning through a fifth of that, not including what the OS takes up, just to play Red Dead. So you would basically have if you were a digital-only guy with just a PS4, you could pretty much only pick 5 games on Red Dead, which is kind of ridiculous. So this is going to take you a long time to download. Hopefully, we start getting news very soon about when you can pre-purchase it, pre-download it, get that queued up. I do appreciate that companies over the last years have allowed you to do that, so that when it launches at 9 p.m. or midnight, whatever.
That being said, if you got a data cap, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. So you might want to buy that on disc. Although
it still has to install,
and it's going to get DLC for years, including multiplayer stuff.
Do you remember getting GTA 5 and putting that thing in there and being like, yes, finally I want to play GTA 5. It's gonna be so awesome. And you put it in, and then it takes like 25 minutes to install.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh, God, all right.
I remember at the Xbox One around that launch year, it just had notoriously slow installs, and I did the same thing. I used to buy games on disc and put them in, and you'd just be like, oh, I'm ready to play, and you'd have to wait a while. So yeah, 105 gigs for Red Dead Redemption 2 on PS4. If there's a bigger console game maybe we missed it. Let us know in the comments, and man.
Good luck with the gigabytes.
Yeah, start downloading. Wow. Red Dead 2 is a gigantic video game, but you know what else is a big video game? PUBG. But PUBG wouldn't exist if it wasn't for this one book. Did you know that? Books can inspire video games? What a world we live in. Speaking of things that are very large, I talked to Shaq about video game controllers. They're very small in his hands, and it made for a hilarious video. Let's take a look after this part where I say watch up at noon more often when you can. Find the time. Please do. You'll enjoy it. See you soon. Have a great night. Good afternoon.